Here's more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston, to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. Live in the studio this morning, taking your phone calls. The number here is 843-556-1250. If you'd like to be on the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show, 843-556-1250. If you have any real estate questions, comments, stories, concerns, you want to know what's going on with the market, you'd like to have a specific question answered, here to help, 843-556-1250. So I want to talk about really just getting serious about selling your house in the fall. As we approach winter, as we enter the colder months of the year, not just from a temperature perspective, but from the hotness of the market perspective. What do you need to do to make sure that you get this right the first time? If not everybody has the ability to plan the perfect time to sell their house. Some of you need to move. Some of you have seen an opportunity and you'd like to move. Others are just, at the point where it just doesn't make sense to own the house that you're in anymore. And there are plenty of folks that have just said, look, it's just too much house for me. We don't need this much space. We'd like to downsize. So long as we can find something that we'd be comfortable in and that we're not going to take a bath on this house. We're not going to sell for a loss, is what so many people say. And so I want to get serious about how do we calculate stuff like that? What do those conversations look like? Is it getting easier? Is it getting harder to sell a house? What should you expect if you're going to sell a home in this market right now, this time of year? So the first thing that I would like to say, and this, I can't stress this enough, because I've been doing this for a long time now. I'm 14th year in selling real estate, sold over 1,000 homes. I've had this radio show for essentially half my career, going on 7th year now. And I can tell you that one of the biggest challenges I face as a real estate agent is when people have already made decisions, they've already made their plan, they've already put it in motion, and then they hire a real estate agent to say, here's what's going on, and I need to get my home sold because of X, Y, and Z. Now, I'm not asking you to incorporate me into your family's life planning. However, understanding the potential impact of your decisions is incredibly important. I can't, we have a situation, or had a situation, where somebody decided to build a home in Greenville. And I get a call. They say, hey, we'd like to sell our house. We'd like to talk with you. We meet with them, talk with them, find out that the home that they're building is closing in about 8 weeks. They've already got their paperwork lined up. Now they just need to get their home sold because that's a contingency to closing on this new construction property. Well, I'm here to tell you that 2 weeks, unless we get everything perfectly right and we're in the right place at the right time and we find a buyer that's ready, willing, and able, as soon as we hit the market, then chances are slim to none that we're going to be able to accomplish that in 2 months or less at the price that they wanted. Now, of course, I could put the property on the market at a discount and sell it, that day. But that wasn't their plan. That wasn't their goal. They wanted to sell it for the most amount of money possible so that they could use their equity to buy the new construction home that they've been spending the last 8 months building. But 2 months is not enough time because they needed to declutter. They needed to do some staging, which we helped them with. We did a pre-listing home inspection because the home was a little bit older. We found a bunch of issues that should have been addressed before we put the property on the market, but we didn't have time. So we had to price the home accordingly based on those repairs that we just didn't have time to fix. And then the property sits on the market and people don't like the floor plan and people find other things they like better. And there's only so much you can do to create the best version of this property and market it to the world. In other words, we can't force buyers to purchase our listings unless we're giving them such a stupid incentive that they can't not buy it, if that makes sense. And that's just not the position a lot of people in, although it's kind of interesting because you see the emergence of all these, what we call IBuyer programs, all these companies now that are just saying, hey, we're going to come in, we're going to give you an immediate offer, we're going to pay you cash, and you just hand us your keys in 30 days, and off you go. Maximum convenience or maximum value. That's the challenge that you're in right now if you want to sell your house. You've got all the agents that want to charge full commission, that are going to do a great job for you, hopefully. You have some that will reduce their commission because they know their value or their services or, all the things that they can do for you are just not the same as somebody like a big team like me that, has a massive marketing budget and just can create more with the tools that I have at my disposal and the people that I have on my team than a single agent can do. They just can't compete. And it's not a slight against them. It's just the reality. You've got these folks that have said, hey, if I can't sell your home in X amount of time, then I'll buy it. And so you kind of get deeper and deeper into the nooks and crannies of what that looks like. And you find out that, well, I'm pretty sure I could list my home for 10% below fair market value, get an immediate offer, and still pay a real estate agent and still make 10% more than I would make if you just buy my house right now. So is the convenience really worth tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars in most instances? So you need to have, that's a long way of saying you need to have a plan. Prior to making your decisions, plan. Understand the potential impact of those decisions. I would also like to say that as our market continues to shift, as these different areas within Charleston become more challenging to sell a home within, we are going to have to get more creative as a team, by the way, the seller and the agent as a team. Sometimes, as unfortunate as it is, the seller will not tell the agent everything. There's this kind of, I'm going to keep you at arm's length, and I'm not going to reveal the whole truth or reason why I'm selling or how much I want out of this transaction, how much I need out of this transaction in order to make sense. Perfect example would be, we go to somebody's house, and we provide them an analysis. We talk about our marketing, talk about what it means to work with us, the next steps. We set the expectation. And they say, well, I'm not going to take a penny less than fill in the blank. And they are serious about it. And you can see that they're really trying to help you understand their position and that, hey, this is the lowest that I'm willing to go. And so your strategy is based off of that because although I can provide my analysis, the seller's the one that's in control of the asking price and the pricing strategy. I'm the consultant. They're the ones that ultimately make the decision because they're the ones that own the house. So we go on the market, we market it, we start getting showings, we start getting all different kinds of feedback, but no offers. And so at some point in time, that seller that kind of put their foot down and said, I'm not going to take a penny less than X, usually comes back around and says, all right, Brian, what do we need to do to get this house sold? It's at some point in time, it's like the agent finally earns the full trust of the client. And then you can start making some really, important decisions and having some real discussions. But if I knew going in that, hey, this is how much wiggle room I have, I'm the type of person where I'm going to try and get you the most money no matter what because I'm a competitive person and I want to win. So when you hire me, I that's one of the best parts of the job is negotiating. And if you hire a real estate agent that doesn't like to negotiate, boom, get a new one. That's the best. That's what keeps it exciting. And so if I know how much wiggle room I have, of course, we're going to talk about things before I just start negotiating on your behalf. But for these I have some of these listings where they'll say, I'm not taking any less than X. And then we get to a point where now we're taking less than X. And they know that they would have been fine with that all along, but they wanted to, assert the fact that, hey, you're going to get me the most money possible. And if you don't, then, you're on the line. You're going to get fired. And I understand the mentality. I really do. But had I had that information beforehand, I could have been having different conversations with those agents. I could have been dangling carrots so that, let's say I'm talking with another agent on the phone and they didn't like something about the house. And if I could have said something like, well, why don't you talk to your buyer about, the kind of flooring they would like to install. And as long as it's reasonable, let's put that together in an offer and, run it up the flagpole. Let's see what the seller says. Let's try and get this buyer and seller to agree on something. And that's the job of the agent, is to facilitate negotiations to get that party started. But so many of them just aren't. Buyer says, I didn't really like the floors. Agent says, okay, let's go to the next one. There's just not a lot of selling happening in our world, in our industry anymore. So if you want to sell your house, make sure you're hiring an agent that knows how to play the game. Have an open and honest conversation with them about what you are and are not willing to accept for your house. Give them a little bit of a leash to run and negotiate for you. Get that party started. Say some things that lead that agent to say, okay, I think the seller's a reasonable person. They're clearly willing to do what's necessary to make a deal happen. That's encouraging to me. I'm going to go tell my buyers that. We're going to have a conversation about it. And anytime you can get an agent that represents a buyer talking positively about your listing, that is a good thing. That's how you start to get offers on your properties. That's how you become, the agent that has a system that sells homes in 19 days and for 98.5% of asking price, like we do. And I say that because I'm very proud of my team and all that we've accomplished, and the fact that we are consultants to our clients and salesmen to everyone else. And we firmly believe in our salesmanship. We are not afraid to say that we are salespeople. And I think that term has become slightly derogatory to some people. And I don't believe that to be the case, because there are not many agents out there that are selling. So when we come back, I want to talk more about what you can be doing right now to sell your house. If you're going to get serious and put your property on the market, or it's been on the market and it hasn't sold, what do we need to do to move that needle, to get some action and attraction to your house and get it sold? Now, if you want to call the studio and talk about that, 843-556-1250, 843-556-1250, or visit me online at listingsincharleston.com. Stick around, Charleston. We'll be right back.
Find Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues next on The Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.